Namaste. The video for today is on the witnessing consciousness. The witnessing consciousness is that individual witnesser within your mind. In the subject of spiritualism, the witnessing consciousness takes the highest place, the most sublime. The whole subject revolves around self-discovery, self-inquiry as to who and what you are. To learn in this life how to go beyond body and mind. We keep living in the roller coaster ride of the body and mind, where the word spiritual or the word spirit or the soul remain only in speaking, only in talking, but we never walk that talk. We don't. We all of us claim, but we don't. So, the subject tells you, the philosophy gives you all the details of how to go beyond the body and mind through your witnessing consciousness, which is also referred as the pure consciousness, the non-dual entity within you. That non-dual entity is that divine within you. It is also referred to as that art thou. That art thou. You are that spiritual conscious energy, where that implies the oneness, and thou indicates towards that divine experience which your mind gets, that divine, that divinity which comes out through the soul, through the awakening of the soul. It is that thou, the metaphysical realm, not the physical, the metaphysical realm which checks and guides your mind. Its role is simply to witness. That is how it remains non-dual. The mind cannot function without duality. It has to relate to its opposite in order to decipher and determine one out of the two. It chooses one out of the two. To understand heat, we have to relate it to cold. God to devil. Black to white. Positive to negative. Truth to lie. Good to bad, etc., etc., etc. They have to be related. Darkness to light, dark grey, light grey, everything is related with its opposites. But that witnessing self, the witnessing consciousness, does not undergo in any form of duality. It remains pure in its absoluteness, in its wholeness, in its fulfilled manner. It is that divine insight which merely watches, which merely witnesses the mind unaffected and uninvolved in a non-judgmental manner. It does not participate. It is not the doer. It is not the thinker. It is not the actor. It is the spectator. It is the spectator. And when you, in unity, are in body, mind and soul, with an awakened soul, it's not that when the soul is awakened, that you stop the mind from doing anything. No. No. You're watching every thought, every action to its completion, without any bindings, without any attachments. You become liberated from the mind. Otherwise, what happens? In spiritualism, it says that even when your mind is awake, you are asleep. The reason being your soul is not awakened, and that's why it's ruling you. There is no witnessing. You're not watching your own mind playing games of duality, of this and that, for your likes and dislikes. Your consciousness has reduced to its lower self, that is the thinking self, the ego self, where it's only concerned with its me and mind for its likes and dislikes. It's not concerned with that interconnection, with that interrelation, with that interdependence with all that is there. So, what happens? You're in mind consciousness. Mind consciousness creates that observer. Observing is not witnessing. Observance, when your mind is observing, it's thinking for an outcome, like a tiger, observing its prey, when and how to pounce. Same is the case with an eagle. Observing all the time in the sky, observing, but with an intention. With an intention. So, mind consciousness creates that observer. Soul consciousness awakens that divine. So, there's a triangle. On the two corners you have the body and the mind. In the center, what you have is the witnesser. The witnesser, the soul. It contains the spirit. So the spirit is the witness, the flow of the energy, which is we conceptualize as the witness. It's the universal self. And the soul is the individual self. So we have the universal self, we have the individual self, we have the physical self, we have the thinking self. So there are four selves within us. And we seem to understand only the material life and not the spiritual life. The spiritual life is connected to your universal self and the witnessing consciousness. The universal self is in total awareness, which makes your mind aware, and only after that it becomes conscious. So the mind has two directions to go, either towards ego consciousness or towards spiritual consciousness, the witnessing consciousness, towards this purity. That's the purpose of life. How to evolve and transform. In that triad that you are living, in that triangle of the body, mind and the bottom two, and the soul, there. So what happens? The soul is beyond the body and mind. And that is what you are. The spirit is who you are. The body and mind is how you are. And it all depends as to how awakened your soul is. And Enlightenment is only through its awakening. Through its awakening. Otherwise, it is in materiality, and that is what today is prevalent. The soul, which we speak so liberally about, is totally asleep. Is totally asleep. Each one is concerned only of his or her ego. We are not concerned about that witness residing within the soul. And once that witness is awakened, and it watches all the performance of the body and mind, the inner self, that is what is meant by looking inwards. It is looking inwards through your individual witnessing mind, or witnessing self, or witnessing soul, whatever you may call it. Eventually what happens? When you are not bound, when you are not in bondage through your mind, through attachments, through conditioning, you become free. That's what is liberation. That's what is moksha. When your soul is liberated from the mind and it is individually awakened, Chaitanya, awakened awareness, in totality, you become fearless. You become selfless. And in those acts of godliness, where you are free from your selfish mind, there's humility. The divine within you awakens. And that is what the witnessing consciousness is all about. So you need to understand. The spirit is that witness. The soul is that witnessing, individual witnessing consciousness. The mind is that thinking self which is meant entirely for the material. You need to balance the two. Both are essential for a fulfilled life, for a complete life. Otherwise, we'll always be under stress, under anxiety. With every happiness, there will be a shadow of sadness lurking behind. It will not be complete. So please go deeper and study with clarity about the spirit and the soul. How you can utilize these two aspects of yours, sleeping inside and awaken that God within, so that we all become better human beings on this planet Earth. Thank you.